When I was younger, my family always hosted Christmas gatherings. At the time, we lived on the upper level of a two-family house that my parents owned, renting out the lower floor to various tenants over the years. During Christmas 2012, a new tenant had just moved in downstairs. He was a quiet 30-something man, which seemed perfect for my parents since they were looking for someone low-key. However, only a few days after he moved in, we started noticing strange noises late at night. The front door would open and shut repeatedly. There was loud talking, and sometimes even yelling. This prompted my dad to go downstairs one night to confront him and ask him to keep it down. That moment marked the beginning of my dad's unease about this tenant. Fast forward to Christmas Eve, our house was bustling with family. The dining room table was extended to fit all 20 of our relatives, and every seat was filled. My Uncle Jake, who is a heavy smoker, stepped outside several times during the night for a cigarette. After our main course, Uncle Jake went out again, leaving his flip phone on the table. When it started ringing a few times after he had stepped out, my dad told me to bring it to him. I grabbed the phone and ran down the stairs to deliver it. When I got to the front hallway, I noticed something odd. The back door was open. Our house's front hall had 3 doors, one leading to the downstairs apartment, the front door, and another hallway that led to the back door. Assuming Uncle Jake had gone out back to smoke, I headed outside, but he wasn't there. Then, I heard movement in the shed. The shed door was slightly ajar, so I called out for Uncle Jake, thinking he might be inside. A figure emerged from the shed. It was too dark to see clearly, but I initially thought it was my uncle. The figure began walking toward me quickly. At first, I assumed it was because he was in a rush to answer his phone, but as the person got closer, the lights from the house revealed his face. It wasn't Uncle Jake, it was our downstairs tenant. There was something about the way he was approaching me that felt menacing, so I turned and ran back to the house, slamming the door behind me. Shaken, I went to the front yard, where I finally found Uncle Jake smoking. I told him about what had happened and how the tenant had seemingly charged at me from the shed. But Uncle Jake, not being the confrontational type, didn't seem too concerned. I stayed with him until he finished his cigarette, feeling too uneasy to leave him alone. We walked back upstairs together, and I told my dad what had happened. The atmosphere at the dinner table grew tense. My dad was visibly concerned, but not wanting to ruin the rest of our Christmas dinner, he waited until everyone had finished eating before going outside to check. When he returned, he said the tenant wouldn't answer his door, but the shed was now closed. As the evening wound down and the last of our family left, we all started getting ready for bed. I decided to stay up a bit longer in the living room, enjoying the soft glow of the fire and the Christmas tree lights. I put on a Christmas movie and eventually dozed off on the couch. At some point, I woke up suddenly, half asleep, to the sound of a creak on the stairs. Too tired to move, I figured it was just my mom, dad, or sister. The carpeted floors upstairs muffled footsteps, but I heard a door open down the hall, which I assumed was my sister going to bed. The fire was almost out, and the movie had ended. The clock under the TV read 1 o'clock a.m. I decided to stay on the couch since I was comfortable. A few minutes later, I heard a rustling noise near the tree, like an ornament falling. Someone had walked into it. I turned onto my side to look, but the tree stood perfectly still. Thinking I might have imagined it, I flipped to my other side to relax. That's when I saw him. Standing over me, slightly bent down, was a man. My first instinct was to scream, and my second was to analyze his face. In those moments, I realized it wasn't my dad or anyone from my family. It was the tenant from downstairs. Panic set in, and I screamed even louder. He tried to cover my mouth, but the noise was enough to wake everyone in the house. Realizing he was caught, the man bolted for the stairs just as my dad came storming out of his room. My dad chased after him, but by the time he got to the door, the tenant was already driving away down the street. We later concluded that the man had been standing over me to ensure I was asleep before attempting to rob us. Luckily, my parents had copies of his ID and other important information from the rental agreement. They used this to track him down and successfully sued him for breaking and entering. We won the case without much difficulty, but the experience left a lasting impact on all of us. It was one of the most terrifying events I've ever lived through, and it could have ended much worse.